Today, well, first of all, we're going to start with our mission statement. I'm Chantel. I'm with Career and Internship Services. It's our job to engage you in the career planning process through self-assessment, understanding of what is available in the world of work so you can set goals and market yourself. And I know I'm reading this. We'll help connect you with employers to help you embark on a successful career path, whatever you determine that to be. And that is what we are here to do. How we do that is through different services like mycatcareers.com. Hopefully you are all on mycatcareers.com. If not, I highly, highly suggest you pick up a card, or there's an instruction sheet over there, a little more detail about how to get registered and how to search for jobs on mycatcareers. All kinds of stuff on there, student employment if you need to work part-time while you're going to school, if you need summer jobs, if you need a job just for the weekend. We have people calling all the time that I need help moving firewood today. So if you need a temporary job or just some quick cash, get on there. There's also internships available. So as you're working towards your career path, you want to try out some jobs, maybe you need the internship credit with your program. Internships are also listed on there, and then of course full-time employment. This is available to you as an alumni after you graduate forever. So remember your login and password. The rest of your life. We also offer career coaching and advising, and these career coaches are wonderful. They'll help you figure out, they'll do some resume critiques with you, mock interviewing, so that you're ready for things like on-campus interviews. You'll have your resume ready when for career fair, when we have our career fairs. Like I said, alumni employment also, we have a lot of employers that are looking for experienced workers as well. So once you graduate, if you change jobs, if something happens in the economy, we've had a lot of alumni recently getting back online and calling to get their logins and passwords and learn how to use mycatcareers. We offer fairs, workshops, presentations all the time. There's also another brochure. Forgive me for having to get up and down like this. All kinds of workshops on this brochure on the back. Obviously, we're towards the end of the semester. There's only a few left this semester, but we'll have a whole new one here in just another month or so. And then we have a library full of resources for you in our office. So please swing by. We're right over there in 177. There for you, and all of our services are free to you as well. This is our career model. The career coaches will work with you on this. Usually, generally, during your freshman year, you'll start with the self-assessment, figure out what motivates you, what are your interests, work that into the world of work. How does that fit into that world of work? What's going to be a good path for you? And then set goals. Working from that, setting some goals on where do I go from here? Try some internships, maybe study abroad, try some summer jobs, that kind of thing, and then working finally. So you usually go from your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, really hit the job searching hard at that point, doing some on-campus interviews, and they'll help you figure out how to negotiate an offer.
My name is Nicole Warwood. I actually grew up in Livingston and graduated in, I'm not going to say the year, at MSU with a degree in finance and a minor in economics. Just because economics, you can take about 2 more courses and get your minor without having to do a bunch more courses. I started my banking career about 8.5 years ago with a local bank here in town, and I started as a teller. So I was fresh out of college and needed a job, and started as a teller. Kind of worked my way through about every position at the bank, and I'm now technically a commercial lender.
My name is John Michael. My company is Traders Guarantee. I went to school. I'm from Chicago. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Moved here about 12 years ago. Lived in Big Sky. Moved here from Chicago when my children have twins that are 4 years old, and we thought it'd be a good time to try Big Sky or Montana, get out of this big city. We still have partners back in Chicago, so I get the best of both worlds between Chicago and Big Sky. Traders Guarantee is a import solutions company. When you import water from France, you've got to get it to the United States. And our products facilitate that process. Number one, freight forwarding. You need to ship the water from France to the United States. That's freight forwarding. Number two, you want to insure it while it's being shipped from France, and that's called marine insurance. When you get to the United States, you have to clear it through customs. And you clear it through customs with two pieces of paper. It's electronic really these days, but you have an entry documentation that describes the water, the value, and the duty on it. And then you have a customs bond, which guarantees that the government's going to get paid the duty on water. Because they say, get your water and go through the line, because we've got a million boats behind you, and they all want to get in. So you pay that duty 10 days later. But in the meantime, customs has that bond, which is a guarantee that they're going to get paid. So those are the products that we provide to facilitate trade. And Trade Risk Guarantee is located in Bozeman. We have two offices. We have one on Main Street. We have one on Lincoln Street. We have 40-something people in our organization. A lot of people remotely work for us too, in Minneapolis, Chicago, Orlando, etc., as part of our staff. And we have hired probably a good 25 people, students from MSU, over the last couple of years as we've expanded. That's my intro.
Brianne,
Yes,
go ahead. Can you?
I'm Brianne Simplot. I am actually a recruiter for the Zaire Simplot company. So I recruit and hire all of our interns across the company, and then do some of our kind of specialty technical recruiting positions. And then I've been with the company for about 7 years now. I was actually an intern myself, and I've done some internal auditing within the company, as well as been on our organizational development team. So most of this conversation, the questions could be deflected to Josh, but anything about the company in general or positions within the company, I'd be happy to help answer.
Josh?
Anything else you guys want to know?
We'll ask a lot of questions later.
Okay, we're having a hard time kind of hearing you, so let us know if there's anything we're not quite answering.
Okay, you're doing great.
I'll hand it off to Josh now.
Okay.
My name is Josh Kruba. I graduated from the University of Idaho with degrees in accounting and finance. Currently, I'm a financial accountant. I started with the company in sort of more of a corporate finance role in our agribusiness division. And now I'm in my current position.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, I'm Mike Altringer, and I'm over here in Spokane, Washington, and I've been in the investment business for 27 years. I graduated in '83, and I'm originally from Dickinson, North Dakota, and I graduated in management and marketing. I was originally going to go to law school, and I paid to take my LSAT, and then I got a job teaching skiing down in Colorado, and so I sort of blew that off for a couple of years, and after teaching a fair number of attorneys, I decided I didn't want to be an attorney, so I got into the investment world, started with E.F. Hutton back in 1985, and have sort of evolved into doing about half of what I do is institutional fixed income sales, so I sell bonds to like banks, insurance companies, and money managers and such, city and county governments, and then I still have a retail book of business. So that's sort of it in a nutshell.
I guess we can open it up to questions, you guys. We have about 20, maybe 15, 20 people here. And if you can't hear their questions, I'll repeat them for you. Okay, I'll start it off. How did, we'll just go through everybody. What did you do right out of college? Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I moved to Vail, Colorado, and I taught skiing for a couple of years. I guess after a couple of years, you get tired of starving to death, and you decide it's time for a real job. So I retired from that career and then moved on into what I'm doing.
How'd you get started in? How'd you know that that's where you wanted to go?
Well, I really didn't. Had a degree in management and marketing, and I applied at some banks and some brokerage firms. And at the time, it's pretty tough. The brokerage firms typically are looking for somebody with sales experience and somebody with a little bit of gray hair. and I interviewed with all the major firms in Spokane, and fortunately the guy who hired me happened to be from Montana. He happened to be a Sigma Nu. He happened to be a skier, and he gave me a shot, and I got lucky here getting into the business as young as I was, and you know, sort of been forever indebted to him. So.
Okay. Josh? How'd you
Well,
break
I'm
into?
actually a fairly recent graduate. I graduated in May, and I was able to get this financial accounting position mostly because of my experience as an intern with Simplot. I interned for 3 months last summer, like I said, more in a corporate finance role, and thought that if I had an opportunity to become a financial accountant, they had a couple openings, and I mean, finance and accounting they're pretty similar in the corporate sense, not as much the investment sense, but I had a good opportunity here, so I took the more accounting side of things, and that's where I am now.
Brianne, do you want to tell us how you got started in your field?
Well, kind of along the same lines as Josh's, I've actually worked for Simplot since I graduated high school, and I have worked for the company on and off anytime I could in between my college career, and fell into a number of roles. So even though I'm in human resources, the best piece of advice I could offer the students sitting in that room is take the opportunities that are available to you. Sometimes they may not be your number one choice at the time, but sometimes just being able to surprise yourself with new opportunities, stretching your limits of what you're able to do, and then just the networking piece that comes along with it can really help create that transition into that full-time role that you may be wanting down the line.
Tom, go ahead. Tom, go ahead.
Well, originally I started out wanting to be an accounting major, and I went to school at Northern Illinois University in the suburbs of Chicago, and went to take the accounting entrance exam and failed it twice. So I had to fall back on some other option. And I said, well, finance is kind of close to accounting, so that's what I ended up opting for. And as I'm taking my classes in finance in my major, I'm thinking, no, maybe corporate finance, or maybe the Board of Trade in Chicago as a trader. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But in my senior year, as I was getting close to graduating, Motorola came to our finance club and talked. And they said, whatever you guys do, think global. You'll have opportunities in the global international trade arena for many years to come. It's still expanding, it's still growing, and there's tons of opportunity there. So that was about 2 months before graduation. At graduation time, I'm looking at the wall and see what kind of job postings are up there. And there's a job for international insurance. So I think, whoa, international. That's what Motorola said. It clicked for me. And I had taken an insurance course in my finance major, so I have a little background there. Interviewed for the job. It was a small company, 75 people out of Schaumburg, Illinois, but a niche. In the niche of this international trade, in the niche of insurance, was really a beautiful thing for me, because it took me off of Main Street and put us as specialists in that trade with this international insurance company. It gave me a specialist stamp early in my career. I started out in underwriting, put together claims programs for this insurance company, traveled to all major port cities doing audits, which was fun for somebody in their 20s. We traveled into Boston, and New York, and Miami, and LA, and San Francisco, all that good stuff, and learned that business. And then after I learned that business, saw ways to improve it, because it was done primarily through a middleman. And then there was a middleman markup with middlemen. And I removed the middleman markup and went direct to the importer with our import solutions products. And that really differentiated me even still more in the niche of international trade solutions that I work within.
Well, after college, I actually worked for the MSU athletic department, just until I could figure out what I wanted to do, because when I was in college, I thought I wanted to go the investment route. And the College of Business actually has an internship program through D.A. Davidson. And I went through that internship program and decided I hated investments and did not want to do it. So I was working for the athletic department and made connections with several actually bankers in town, and just called them and said, do you have a position for me? And I started as a teller a couple of weeks later, and I was a teller for about 2 to 3 months before I got moved to the loan side. So networking is definitely important. You never know, even in your job today, who you're going to meet. That same guy that I called 9.5 years ago, I have worked for my entire stint. So I followed him from bank to bank. It's a nice part about banking is it's very versatile. You can work for any bank. So I followed him, and he has since left to join the real estate world. But very good connection for me to make when I was a sophomore in college. So you just never know who you can call later and just ask what they have for you.
Questions yet? I have kind of a dumb question. What's simple?
Can you tell us more about JR Simplot, Brianne? What do you guys do?
So we are a privately held food and agribusiness company. We employ over 10,000 people internationally, so we've got plants and locations all over the U.S., basically anywhere from they kind of say Fresno to Fargo, but with acquisitions, we're even kind of expanding past that. We also have locations. We're very big in Australia, New Zealand, China, India, Mexico, Canada. So quite a few locations. And our company is kind of broken up into 4 different business groups. So we have an agribusiness side, a food group side, and a land and livestock side, and then there's our international operations. So basically, we do everything kind of from farm to fork. We have our own mining operations, turn that phosphate onto our own fertilizer. Our fertilizer kind of goes onto the farms. We process that food in our own plants, kind of a circle of life type of thing, if you will. We also have a plant sciences division that's working with some biotechnology and licensing of that. So, I mean, as far as the finance and accounting realm in our company, it's huge. It's one of our biggest kind of functional groups within the company. We have corporate accounting and finance, as well as each business group has their own finance and accounting functions as well. So there's a lot of different positions and a lot of room for lateral and vertical movement within the company.
Thank you.
Your question? Okay.
This is kind of just open for anyone. Is there any coursework or classes you guys would recommend that would be kind of applicable to, I guess, all these fields, something that you would find useful for any career in some type of financial services, or is there anything you wish you'd taken back when you were a senior and junior that would have helped?
I was on a plane a couple weeks ago and looked at the magazine, United Airplane, and it was talking about international business courses and programs you could take at Oregon and some of the universities in Washington as well. And they didn't have that type of thing when I was around. And if you have any sort of desire to get involved with international business, those are type of programs to look at. If it's your MBA, you're doing your bachelor's here, you move on to an MBA. I think that's a great thing to focus on.
I would say accounting. I wish I had taken it a little more seriously because I think finance and accounting are so closely related. The biggest difference I see in my job is I'm looking for cash flow, and to pull that out of a tax return, they're looking at ways to minimize their cash flow. So you have to find ways to read kind of that tax return or that financial statement in order to find where the cash flow is coming from. We have some customers with extremely complicated tax returns where they have investments in other companies, investments in subsidiaries, international business. I wish I'd taken accounting above and beyond what's required for your degree, just simply for the fact that 90% of my job is analyzing that and being accurate with that, and if I can't read the tax return, it takes me a lot longer.
The question was, is there any courses that you wish you would have taken in college or that you would recommend for students to take now to set them apart?
This is Mike Altringer, but I wish my English skills were stronger, particularly writing, public speaking. They'd be a great advantage here. So.
Communication in general?
Yeah.
This is Brianne. I agree with Mike, not necessarily for myself, but just the candidates I see coming through. Written and verbal communication is huge right now, especially at our company, and allowing you to kind of get that first step in the door, how you present yourself, even just your resume and answering application questions, being able to have that knowledge of proper grammar is very important. And then not necessarily classes, but what we look for too is just kind of those soft skills, so paying attention in classes and learning how to work in team environments and kind of things along those lines. But Josh, are there any classes that you wish?
I do agree on the English side of things. I do think that is a very good skill to have. I also think that I also wish I would have taken more classes having to do with sort of the operation management side of things. That really helps you when you get down into the retail section of our company, understanding the operations and understanding how the fertilizer is made, for example, and that can help you out when you're doing some of the acquisitions and looking to deploy